If you lost your wallet in Sweden or New Zealand, on average, you're 4 times more likely to get it back than if you lost it in China. What's all that about? So while most economic models assume that people value their own interests over the interests of strangers, it does vary across countries and cultures and even the amount of money in the wallet. A study published in the journal Science involved losing 17,000 wallets in 355 cities across 40 countries and seeing how many of them were returned to the supposed owners through places like banks, post offices, hotels and police stations. The average rate of wallet return, depending on the condition, ranged from 14 to 76%, with about 76% of wallets being returned in Denmark, Sweden and New Zealand, just under 70% in Australia, around 58 to 59% in the US, less than 50% in Italy, less than 30% in Mexico and around 14% in China. In the main study, they had 2 types of wallets, one with no money and one with the equivalent of around US $13.45. What they discovered was that an empty wallet versus a small amount of money had a different effect in different countries. So, for example, if you lost your wallet with a little bit of cash in New Zealand, Denmark and Sweden, you had a close to 80% chance of getting it back. If you lost your wallet with cash in Australia and Poland, you had a 70% chance of getting it back. If you lost it in Brazil or Israel, you had a close to 50-50 chance. So the gap varied across countries between no money and a small amount of money in the wallet. So in Canada, for example, the gap was around 15% between the empty wallets and those with the cash. The gap in the UK was around 20%, and the gap in Peru was pretty much 0. But on average, adding money to the wallet increased the likelihood of it being reported from 40% in the no money condition to 51% in the money condition. And this result held when controlling for a number of recipient and situational characteristics, which I'll talk about in a moment. The researchers also wanted to know why some people were likely to return a lost wallet when it contained more rather than less money. So they conducted a second experiment to see the effect of 3 different levels of cash in the wallets. So they created 3 wallets that had different amounts of money, from no money, so 0, to some money, which was the equivalent of US dollars $13.45, to what they called big money, with about $94.15. And then they looked at its effect in 3 countries, which were the US, the United Kingdom and Poland. Firstly, they found no relationship for things like the presence of other people when they found the lost wallet, the presence of security cameras, and things like laws in different countries around lost property. They also found no relationship around whether a reward was likely for returning a wallet with more money in it. But what they did find was that return or reporting rates went from 46% in the no money condition up to 61% in the money condition, and topped out at 72% in the big money condition. Interestingly, both experts like economists and lawmakers, along with non-experts, were actually not able to predict this effect, according to the researchers. Most people believed that as the amount of money increased, so would the amount of dishonesty or unwillingness to return the wallets. But it was actually the opposite. That said, the degree of miscalibration amongst economists was less severe than in their non-expert sample. As the amount of money increased, just under 50% of economists incorrectly predicted that reporting rates would decrease. So to understand why all of this was happening, they did some further analysis into a whole range of factors and found that there was no effect of variables like a country's gross domestic product or wealth. They also controlled for all sorts of other factors like country temperature, pathogen prevalence, rainfall, family ties, religion, democracy, levels of violence, judicial independence, and all sorts of individual recipient characteristics. Ultimately, what their findings suggested was that countries that had inclusive political institutions, national education, and cultural values that emphasise moral norms extending beyond one's in-group were most strongly associated with rates of civic honesty. So what does this mean? What it comes down to is that honesty is a key component of social capital. Societies where its citizens feel free and safe to express themselves, along with an attitude that values broader community needs, are more likely to be honest ones. Social trust works through social norms of behaviour, like a willingness to cooperate with strangers and a willingness to follow government rules. Inequality of income and perceptions of corruption contribute to people valuing their own interests over the interests of the broader community. So there really is value beyond thinking about yourself, even if it's for self-centered reasons. Who knows? One day you might lose your wallet. Just make sure it's loaded with cash.